I'd like to start by sharing a bit of my story and how I got here today. Essentially, as a young boy, let's say, teenager, I always had a dream of starting my own business. I was terrible in school, and so I always used to tell my parents, I need to find a way out. I don't want to have a life which is the one that I can visualize, one that's the traditional part of life. And so I was always searching for problems I could fix to come up with an idea which could potentially not just change my life, but also change the life and impact the life of multiple people around me. So that was always my mindset, trying to innovate, trying to find solutions. And at around the age of 15, I was in sixth form at junior college here in Msida, and I identified a problem which was all my friends were always trying to find out when we have common free lessons together. Our schedules were always different, and I said, how bloody simple would it be if someone made an app which made and compared these schedules and told us when we're free? And so that was the basic MVP. I went to my developers, I'm not a developer myself, and I asked, how much does this cost? They told me 25,000. I said, fuck, that's not something I can do. I had 200 euros in my bank account, and my parents weren't too happy about funding that. So what we did was boil it down to the MVP, which was this basic idea, and that was a 5,000 euro project, which we could start with. I then decided to go down the crowdfunding route, where I pitched to every lost soul I know, including my grandparents, my mom's friends, telling them, give me 50 euros, I'll pay you back in 2 years with 2% interest. We printed these papers out, and before I know it, we signed off this development contract, didn't have the money to pay each next installment, but I was managing to find these funds. And that's what started this idea. We launched in 2017. This was my little baby, just myself basically, and very quickly it gained a lot of traction. We had 700 downloads on day one, 3 months after 10,000, a year after 20, and within 2 years, we had Malta's largest student app, which had 90% of all students from sixth forms, university and MCAST. And suddenly, I'm living the dream that I had always envisioned from when I was 13 years old. Then it starts to get complicated, right? Now it's a business. Now I have enough proof to my parents. I can drop out of university. That's what I did. I was getting 20 on 100. My mom thought the exam was out of 50, not 100. But luckily, I was giving enough results to kind of continue this dream. So we continued building, continued hiring people. We then pivoted into content creation and media creation, and now that is the bigger side of our business. So we make content, news, and videos essentially targeted to this younger demographic. And we make money through advertising. So anyone who wants to tap into Gen Z is our client, both for recruitment and also for just putting the brand out there. Now, in these 7 years, we've grown to a team of 15 full-timers. It's more than my full-time job. I've faced many difficult challenges throughout the way, from hiring conversations, firing people, having very difficult conversations, being in the media for some controversies, which some of you may know about. And it's been a very emotional journey, which the emotional side is not one which everyone talks about. In the last year, I've gone through the process of trying to detach myself as much as possible emotionally from the business, which has been a very interesting self-discovery journey. My identity was very much built within this business because it was from 18 to 25 years old. And now I feel in a much more comfortable place to kind of separate the two. Now, I say all this not to self-promote, but to get into the topic of today, which is the actions I took over the past 5 years have led me to where I am today. And all these small steps, difficult conversations, late nights have led to where you all are today as well. And so my interpretation of the future is now is your future success is based on the micro actions you take today. Now, the word I want to focus on in this sentence is the word action, right? So I'm gonna get the crowd involved. What words come to mind when you hear action? Go. in business. Cool. Proaction. To me, it's risk-taking. It's these types of words which avoid procrastination and make us actually step in the direction that we want to and take things from just our head into the real world. So what I thought I would talk about today would be 5 aspects which in my journey have hindered me from taking action, and hopefully I can share some of these tips and inspiration for you to take action today. The first is overthinking. Especially at the beginning, when you have an idea which you've always wanted to launch, it's so easy to keep learning and thinking and seeing podcasts and reading books. However, the only thing you need to do is step on that gas and get it out there. I experienced this in a very interesting way. So I had this idea, which I just told you, for a year and a half. It was just idea, it was just drawings. And then once upon a time, I woke up and I see a Love in Malta article which said 6 apps you wish existed but don't. And the first one was my idea. And I said, fuck, someone's gonna do it. And I've had this drawn for a year and a half. I also just got kind of validation that it's a good idea through this article, so I need to go. And essentially within 3 months of that article, we launched. And the lesson from there is take action before someone else does. I think regret is one of the bigger things that can motivate us, and trying to look at the ways we can avoid regretting things in the future or the past is an interesting take. Number 2, fear of failure. I guess we all are afraid of failure, but when I ask this question to myself and even other people, the most interesting part of this is, to me, is fear of judgment, not fear of failure. I see myself, I'm comfortable failing if no one knows about it, but I'm not too comfortable failing in front of the world. Which is a very interesting kind of topic to delve into and have conversations with yourself about, because it's such a pity. I mean, why not go for it? And these are some of the tips which I've kind of learned when it comes to this area. Surrounding yourself with the right people who aren't going to judge these ideas. I had many people telling me like, Elad, how stupid or how sweet you're gonna go ahead with this. And you know there's jealousy and there's envy of they want to do that too, but never maybe had the courage to do so. So surround yourself with the right people. Don't take advice from people who don't live the life that you want to live. Very simple. I'm always trying to be the silliest person in the room and learning from people who I aspire to be. And lastly, it's all in your head. My experience of being judged or being criticized has been really positive. People are supportive. You guys are supportive today. So don't let that voice of that inner critic kind of cloud your judgment on the reality around you. And I really like this quote: great spirits have always encountered violent opposition from mediocre minds, something a bit motivational to get you to take action. Number 3, perfectionism. Who here would count themselves or label themselves as a perfectionist? Hands up. Okay, there we have it. My interpretation of this, and this is not something I've coined myself, but something I've read, is, in some cases, and not to offend the people who maybe put their hand up, perfectionism is the disguise of insecurity. And what that means is that perhaps the reason you're saying, no, it's not ready yet, I'm not ready to go for this, is the previous point, is because we're fearful of being judged. Action requires failure, and it's better to fail fast. This has been a big kind of mentality that I've driven with my startup. It can't be perfect. It never will be, even if you think it is. So let's go. Let's just go. And it's a Facebook motto, which I've always remembered, move fast and break things, which has been something that I love and motivates me with every project we have. If it's gonna take 2 months, let's do it in 1, let's learn, let's get it out there, let's get people's feedback, and always building on what people are saying, what your customer is saying. has been a huge part of the success I've had in this business. Number 4, lack of clarity. These are ones I don't have the answers to. I also experienced lack of clarity last year when all the goals that I had as that maybe less mature 18-year-old were hit in terms of X amount of followers, X amount of employees, cool office, all these things, you kind of vanity metrics you surround yourself with. And with that came a lot of lack of clarity on what's next. But what I did and what I'm still trying to do is start small, test and learn. So maybe I like interviewing people. Okay, let me interview someone, see if I actually like it. So testing out what the next direction is for you by action and not just by pondering is something that I found useful. Number 2, ask for help. One of the most underrated advice that I've received. Recently, I did a podcast with this international author, and he said, just ask for help. I'm the gateway to your next connection. Ask them for help. And it's something which I found difficult as well in my story. I've always kind of been an individual player. I'll figure it out myself. But asking for help is obviously can save a lot of time. And number 3, take time away. Sometimes when we're in a problem, so deep in it, we can forget what we're even talking about. So distancing ourselves from that problem can prove very effective in gaining clarity. Last, comfort zones. Also, something I've experienced. Again, okay, I have the business, I have 15 people, decent salary, It's very easy to get stagnant there. However, myself as a character, and I'm sure a lot of you here as well, we get energy from being challenged. Like Josh said, we want to improve things every single time. And so comfort cannot be part of the equation if we're looking to take action. I won't read that out, but what it's saying is, at the end of your life, do you want to have, oh, that was nice, that was chill, or wow, what a ride? And that's something which I try to remember. I want to hit that finish line with bruises on my arms and say, Christ, how did I do that? And I think all this combined, I hope to translate the message of taking action. To summarize, our lives are results of all the small choices we make every single day. So I implore you today, enough books, enough TED Talks, enough conferences, sorry Josh, but let's make 2024 the year of action. Thank you.